P-39 Airacobra, the American fighter, that destroyed 2,400 enemy aircraft. Introduction. In the early years of World War II, the skies were ruled by innovation. Among the countless aircraft that took part in the battles over Europe and the Pacific, one fighter stood out: the Bell P-39 Airacobra. It wasn't the fastest, nor the most glamorous. In fact, many American pilots didn't like it at all. But in the right hands, in the hands of Soviet pilots, it became one of the most effective killing machines of the war. This is the story of the P-39 Airacobra, the American fighter that helped destroy over 2,400 enemy aircraft. Chapter 1: The Birth of the Airacobra. The P-39 was designed by the Bell Aircraft Corporation in the late 1930s. It was a revolutionary concept, the first American fighter with a mid-engine layout and a tricycle landing gear, something completely new at the time. The engine, an Allison V1710, was mounted behind the pilot. This allowed the designers to place a powerful 37mm cannon in the nose, firing directly through the propeller hub. That cannon could tear through enemy bombers with a single shot. However, when the aircraft first appeared, the U.S. Army had high expectations. They wanted a high-altitude interceptor. The prototype had a turbo supercharger, giving it impressive performance. But when it went into mass production, the turbocharger was removed to save weight and cost. That decision would change the P-39's destiny forever. Chapter 2: A fighter. Without a role. Without its turbocharger, the Airacobra lost much of its high-altitude power. At altitudes above 15,000 feet, it struggled against German and Japanese fighters. American and British pilots quickly realized this. They preferred other aircraft, like the P-40 Warhawk, the P-47 Thunderbolt, and the P-51 Mustang. The Royal Air Force tested the Airacobra and was disappointed. They called it underpowered and dangerous at altitude. For the Americans, it seemed like the P-39 was a failure, a fighter with no clear purpose. But fate had other plans. Chapter 3: The Eastern Front Calls. When the Soviet Union entered the war in 1941, it urgently needed modern fighters. Through the Lend-Lease program, the U.S. began sending thousands of aircraft across the Bering Strait to the USSR. Among them was the P-39 Airacobra, the plane nobody in the West wanted. Yet on the Eastern Front, the Soviets found something special in it. The P-39's weaknesses at high altitude didn't matter, because most air battles in the East happened below 5,000 meters, at low and medium altitudes. And there, the Airacobra was deadly. It was stable, easy to handle, and extremely effective in ground attack missions. The 37mm cannon could destroy tanks, armored vehicles, and bombers. For Soviet pilots, this American machine became a perfect fit. Chapter 4: Soviet Aces and the Airacobra. The Soviet Union received over 4,700 P-39s, making it one of the most widely used foreign aircraft in their air force. Many of the top Soviet aces, including Alexander Pokryshkin, Grigory Rechkalov, and Nikolai Gulayev, flew the Airacobra. Pokryshkin alone scored 48 victories, most of them while flying a P-39. He even rewrote the Soviet Air Combat Manual based on his experience with the aircraft. Rechkalov, another Cobra pilot, downed over 50 enemy planes, and together, Airacobra pilots were credited with more than 2,400 aerial victories. For the Soviets, the P-39 wasn't a second-class fighter. It was a symbol of reliability and precision. Chapter 5: Design and Firepower. Let's take a closer look at what made the Airacobra so unique. The P-39 had a mid-engine layout, with a driveshaft running under the cockpit to the propeller at the front. This gave it excellent balance and a very clean aerodynamic design. The pilot entered the cockpit through car-style side doors, which was unusual for fighters of the time. Its armament was formidable. A 37mm M4, cannon firing through the propeller hub, 2.50 caliber machine guns in the nose, 4.30 caliber guns in the wings. This combination made it lethal in dogfights and ground attacks alike. Soviet pilots often removed the wing guns to reduce weight, improving maneuverability. They turned the P-39 into a lightweight killer, perfectly adapted to their style of combat. Chapter 6. In Combat. On the Eastern Front, Airacobras took part in every major operation, from the defense of Stalingrad to the battle for Berlin. Their primary role was low-altitude dogfighting and close air support. They often escorted bombers, attacked enemy tanks, and intercepted German fighters like the Messerschmitt Bf 109 and Focke-Wulf FW 190. Pokrishkin described the P-39 as an aircraft that fought like a boxer, strong, balanced, and accurate. Its tricycle landing gear made takeoffs and landings easier on rough Soviet airfields, and its powerful cannon gave Soviet pilots a psychological edge. One hit could destroy almost anything in the air. Chapter 7. Myths and Reality. Many Western historians once called the Airacobra a failure, but this judgment ignored its massive success in Soviet service. In reality, the P-39 was a specialized tool, not ideal for high-altitude combat, but perfect for the Eastern Front environment. It proved that success in war depends not only on design, but on how you use the weapon. While American pilots flew Mustangs at 30,000 feet, Soviet pilots dominated at low altitude with their Airacobras. The numbers speak for themselves. Over 2,400 enemy aircraft shot down, hundreds of elite aces trained, and countless missions completed successfully. Chapter 8. Technical Specifications. Let's summarize the Airacobra's key specs. Manufacturer: Bell Aircraft Corporation engine, Allison V1710-85 V12, 1,200 horsepower maximum speed, Yosh 600 km/h, 370 amperes at 4,000 meter range, 800 1,000 km ceiling, about 10,000 nanometers, but best under 5,000. Armament: 137mm cannon, 2x50 cal machine guns, 4x30 cal machine guns. Crew: 1. It was a tough, simple, and efficient machine, easy to maintain even in the harshest conditions. Chapter 9. Legacy. After the war, the Airacobra slowly disappeared from active service. Jet technology replaced propeller fighters, and the world moved on. But for those who flew it, especially in the Soviet Union, it left a lasting legacy. The P-39 taught a generation of Soviet pilots how to fight aggressively, how to think tactically, and how to use every advantage of their machine. When the Cold War began, many of those same pilots, veterans of the P-39, became instructors and commanders in the new jet era. Their experience shaped the future of aviation on both sides of the Iron Curtain. Chapter 10. Conclusion. The story of the P-39. Airacobra is a lesson in perspective. An aircraft dismissed by some as mediocre became a legend in another theater of war. It proved that technology alone doesn't win battles. People do. In the hands of Soviet aces, this American fighter helped turn the tide of air combat, bringing down more than 2,400 enemy aircraft. So next time you hear about the less famous planes of World War II, remember the Bell P-39 Airacobra, a machine that was underestimated, misunderstood, but ultimately undefeated where it mattered most.